So Sandy has thrown down the gauntlet to throw it away. Let it go. Let it go. Open up your hands, open up your hearts, open up your spirit, open up your mind to receive. Everything you believed about yourself to be true. Can you set it down for a moment? Leave it at the door if you want it, the good, the bad, and maybe the stinking thinking. You can leave it at the door. It'll be there if you want it when you leave. But maybe we can do a great cleansing and throw it all away and start anew, to be reborn again. To be born again in mind and heart and spirit, and to recognize that we are pretty wonderful people, yes? I don't know if I believe you yet. Give me a sermon. By the way, if I convince you in 20 minutes, we'll stop. But if it takes an hour, I'll give you an hour. We are starting a brand new series today. And how many people enjoyed the Freedom series we did last month? I saw a hand go up over here that went, Not too sure, but it's all about relationships for the month of August. How many people have relationships? You in the balcony? I'm sorry. We all have relationships. It's a subject that's vitally important to this earth school. Do we realize that we're in school? You're on earth, you're walking the earth, you incarnated at this time in this place with a whole bunch of teachers. Look around, these are your teachers. Think of the people at work, the people in your family, they are your teachers. That is the curriculum. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that curriculum for the month of August. We're going to start light, maybe not so light, and then we're going to go for a deep dive. Are we good for the deep dive? That means you got to come back. Only 4 weeks. Relationships are the curriculum and the teachers. You want to learn about yourself? Who comes here to learn about themselves? Study your relationships. Uh-oh. He's starting to meddle, Joel. Here he goes again. You want to grow emotionally? You want to grow mentally? You want to grow spiritually? Study your relationships. You know, I look at the life that I live today and the good that I get to experience today, and I've been in some wonderful classes, wonderful services in churches, in school, but none of it compares to the education I got being in relationship with the people in my life. You can come here, this is good, but unless you take the principles and the ideas that we espouse from this platform and apply them in your relationships and allow them to be applied back at you from somebody who challenges you, from somebody who calls you out, well, it's just a divine idea and nothing ever happens. There is no growth mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Who wants to find God? By whatever definition. I know the word God is tough for somebody. Maybe in this relationship we can get past a word. It's just a word. We're looking for that infinite spirit of life and love, that divine idea of the allness of creation. We all want a deep relationship with that. Well, then take a look at the people you have incarnated with on earth. It is not an accident. The people you're sitting next to right now, it's not an accident. It's a divine appointment. Everybody in your family, everybody in your work, it's a divine appointment. Make it rain. Did you see that it started to rain? Make it rain. Let love rain down as we study relationships, the good and the not so good, because it's all a manifestation of the God energy, yes? So let's walk through what we're going to talk about for the month of August. Let's go ahead and put the talk titles up on the screen. Week number 1, and that is today. We'll start light. Listeners, lovers, and lighthouses. Say the phrase with me on the second part of that. I want to. How many people have those shiny people that you just love? They show up on the planet and they look so good. I want to be them. Number 2, the week 2, the mystics, the misfits, and the mavericks. Together, I want to be like myself. Okay, number 3. Now we start to take a little bit of a deeper dive in week 3. Nuisances, narcissists, and negativity. Anybody know those people? No, I haven't met them. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Together, I don't want to be like... Freudian slip. I don't want to be like them. And then week 4, we bring it all together with a big bow on top of it. Oneness, optimists, and open-minded. And together we say, I am them. Throughout the journey, there's going to be an I am them through the whole process. I invite you to keep your hands, your mind, your heart, your spirit wide open. A mantra that I have often shared from this platform, and you've heard it many times from me. Let's go ahead and put that slide up there and let's say it together. It is a mission statement for me, and one that contextualizes my ministry. Together, shine your light so brightly that others cannot help but know that same light exists in them. I get up in the morning and I say that mantra. No matter how tired I am, no matter how difficult the day might be, no matter how great it might be, it's the same mantra. Let me shine in the midst of what is mine, what is before me, my life, my experiences, that the people I interact with can also know that that same light exists in them. For this series, we're going to flip it upside down. We're going to turn it all upside down and look at it with different eyes and different lenses. Time reflecting on the people in our lives who seem to have a little bit extra. You know who they are? The people in your life that seem to be, I call them shiny, happy people. They seem to have something on the ball. They seem to have that magical little energy around them. The shiny, bright people that appear to have the ears of the Christ. We talk about it, but they have the ears. They are the listeners of the Christ. The heart of the Buddha, those people that can find love and be love even in the midst of the most difficult situations. I want to be like them. Or the people that appear to have the light of 1,000 Mother Teresas that stir a light in our own heart. We see them and they stir something within us, and we do something different, or we don't. It either stirs or it doesn't, depending on how we respond to the lighthouses, the lovers, and the listeners when they show up. Because your life is your life. Your choice is your choice, right? Life is consciousness. And you can want and desire the consciousness of the lighthouse all you want, but unless you do something different, it's their lighthouse and not yours. Amen. That's a hard lesson. Let's see if we can dig a little deeper and meddle just a little further. So these extra special people, these otherworldly beings, sometimes they resemble aliens. Now, where'd they come from? What planet are you from? They seem to have something I don't. I want to be like them. Or as that famous line from When Harry Met Sally, you all know it. I'll have what she's having. I look at the people in here, and I look at Drea, Firewalker over there, and I go, I'll have what she's having. Shiny, happy lighthouse, or Mary Ann. There's more light in your household than anywhere I've ever been. But the reality is I want to be like them. I want to know what it is that makes them tick, that makes them so full of life. Many of those people hang around here at Unity North. Look around. Think about them. I want you to take a moment and I want you to close your eyes. Think about those shiny, happy lighthouses, those lovers, those listeners, those people that make the world a better place. Just hold them close. Bring them into the environment. And the first thing I want you to do is to say thank you. Let thank you and gratitude be in your heart. You know, I'm convinced that this world just needs a little bit more thank you. I notice, I see you, I behold you, and we don't take the time. Over the last year, I've done too many memorial services where people regretted they didn't say thank you. Let that thank you be beyond space and time and speak it in your heart right now. And then I want you to bring those lighthouses into this energy right now. And on the count of 3, I want you to call their name into the environment. To not just call it out, but to yell it out. To let the energy of these people that impacted your life in such a positive way, whether they're still living or not, whether they're in the room or not, call their name out. 1, 2, 3. I don't feel the fullness yet. Call their name out as if it's a passionate expression of the commitment that you have to recognize their light. 1, 2, 3. We're getting there. I heard Harry. I miss Harry Cohn. Harry Cohn, I heard his name in 2 or 3 places. Maybe it's a different Harry, but I'm just wild about Harry. Close your eyes again. Now I want you to make an inventory. What is the list of that person? What is Harry? Or whatever name you called. What are the divine ideas? What are the energies that they brought to your life, to this planet, that you so recognize? Live in them, steep in them, breathe them, know them, claim them, and then narrow it down to 1. Just pick the one thing that this lighthouse brought to the world that you recognize. On the count of 3, call that energy into this space and into this room. You see, the spoken word is bringing energy onto earth. It's important that we just don't think it, but that we think it and then we speak it. On the count of 3, speak that quality, that number 1 quality that impacted your life. 1, 2, 3. Good, I'm not feeling the fullness yet. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right. You know, I teach in this community, and Unity teaches that you cannot help but be the prayer for somebody else. The knower, the gratitude, energy for somebody else, and not have that same energy live in you at a greater degree. So as we spoke it out, you not only blessed the person, wherever they might be, but you blessed yourself. And by being a blessing in your own skin, in your own life, in your own language, in your own thought, you were a blessing to the people in this room. Let it integrate. Let it integrate. And to take these lighthouses, these listeners and lovers, and make them you. Because there is only one of us here, right? There's only one of us here. There's only one of us throughout history, throughout time. Those that have been, those that are here, those that are elsewhere, those that will come that we haven't even met yet. Think about the great masters. Call out the great masters of time. Let me hear them. Jesus is one of them. Who else? Buddha. Lao Tzu. Even Charles Fillmore made the list today. And he does make the list. Charles and Myrtle. We don't want to forget the great woman behind the man. He gets all the credit, but she deserves all the credit because she was the consciousness. I'm living like Drea Firewalker now. But the reality is Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Lao Tzu, even Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and the names that you mentioned, people flocked to them. You ever notice that? That people wanted to be in their essence. They came from miles and miles around just to touch the hem of the garment, just to touch the hem of the consciousness, to stand at the edge of their heart and experience that energy. It's a natural byproduct of lighthouses. They are bringing the boats in. They don't have to go seeking anything or anybody. They just radiate at the level of who they are, and people clamor to be there. They were all saying at one level or another as they made the pilgrimage, to get there, I'll have what he's having. I'll have what she's having. And that feels really good. We all have those people. I want what they're having. But what many of us fail to recognize in those great masters, and as well as the names that you mentioned here today, we forget to witness these people, and that's the backstory. Everybody's got a backstory, the history, and the footsteps that they all walked to get to that place of listening, to get to that place of loving, and that shiny place of being a lighthouse. Let me clearly state, shininess does not happen by accident. Say that with me. Shininess doesn't happen by accident. Yours, theirs, mine, anybody's. Shininess doesn't happen by accident. And so many of us on the planet are so into just reading the last chapter. We don't want to go through the drudgery of the first 3 to set up the plot, to set up the characters, to get a relationship with those characters. Let me just skip chapter 1 through 15 and get to the end of the book and cut to the chase. Anybody do that? Not in this church. Other churches do that. But the reality is that our environment and our country is set up to want the magic pill at the end. I want the lighthouse experience on the end. I want the love, and I want the listening on the other side, but we're not willing to read the first 15 chapters. You've got to read the first 15 chapters or it doesn't stick. Yes? There's work behind it. Throughout this series, I am going to refer to the old standard, New Thought teaching. It's a little bit worn out, but it bears repeating again and again and again. We are all mirrors for each other. Say that. We are all mirrors for each other. Sometimes indicated with this phrase, and I'm going to ask you to say a number of times together. If you spot it, you've got it. Put your hand on your heart and say it again. If you spot it, you got it. Many of us easily adopt that idea on the surface. And a lot of New Thought people are living at the surface, and they're okay with that. But they rarely look at the work, the effort, the study, and the practice it took for these shiny people to get shiny. There's a lot of elbow grease, as my grandfather would put it, spit polish, a lot of effort and energy. Oh, I don't want to spot that. I don't want to look at that. I don't have the capacity to work that hard. And so we skip the first 15 chapters and cut to the chase, saying things like, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the money. But let me tell you, Jesus, Lao Tzu, Buddha, they didn't have the money either. But somehow they managed to get shiny without that limitation. I'm saying on the spiritual path, we need to quit focusing on what we don't have and focus on what we do have. But what I would say, what you don't have is you're not getting there, is you don't have a priority. Uh-oh, I'm meddling, Joel. I don't have a priority. I see it, I spot it, I want it. Nah, I'm going to go take a nap instead. Hard work, the spiritual path of evolution is a hard path that requires work. You do have the time, because if you spot it, you got it. You have within you the capacity to manifest anything in your life. It's been given to you. Keep your hands wide open. Keep your heart wide open, because your limited thinking cannot maybe see it, but if you spotted it and you spotted the effort and the time and the energy and the money it took to get there, it's at your disposal. But we close our hands, and God says, right here, stand at the door and knock. I'm trying to give it to you, but your hands are closed. Your heart is closed, and you're living in a limited world. So you will never become a lighthouse at the brightest level. We have to keep our mind and our hearts wide open. Many people in New Thought want the lighthouse experience, but we're not willing to assemble the lighthouse brick by brick. Chop wood, carry water, as they say. Let's read this together. Many in New Thought want the lighthouse experience, but aren't willing to assemble the lighthouse brick by brick by brick by brick. And you know what happens when you're not willing to put that effort in? You will eventually attract different people to you. Different mirrors will show up. So you've attracted the shiny, happy people willing to put the effort in. But if you're not willing to put the effort in, they will move away. And you're going to attract different mirrors. And those mirrors are going to be, we'll talk about in week 3. But we're going to have judgment about those mirrors. Oh, those people are going to show up. You create the space by not jumping in, by not doing the work and putting in the effort, and different mirrors will find their way to you. But we'll talk about those people in week 3. None of them in any of these weeks is there by accident. It's a divine appointment. You manifested it. As a creative being in the image and after the likeness of creativity itself, they're there for a reason. And they're here, every one of them, to help us ask the question, is my spiritual path a way of life, or is it a hobby? Oh, man. No, I'm getting to the soft part. Don't worry. Is my spiritual path a way of life, or is it a hobby? A good question to ask, not with blame and shame. Just go, am I in it? Am I in it to win it? Or am I in it sort of put my toe in the water? Every person you meet, every person you've ever met, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is there to show up at the perfect time in our lives to reflect something we need to acknowledge in ourselves. Sometimes it's the good, just asking for expression. I stand at the door and knock, let me out. It's the door inside that says, let me out. That good is there to say, you've got it. There's more of you to offer the planet. You're an amazing, beautiful, holy, sacred being of light, and these people showed up because your vibration was at that level, and when you step back, you invite in the other mirrors. I don't have the time, the energy, the talent, or the priority. The people with whom we interact are showing us who we are and ultimately providing us with an opportunity to love ourselves. That's it, to love ourselves. Say that with your hand on the heart, I love myself. That's a good theory. But do you really love yourself? Let's explore that. This idea of a mirror is often used only when it comes to shadow work. Don't we love our shadow work? Oh, let's dig in and talk about my flaws and my mistakes and my difficulties and my darknesses. We will get there. Today, I'm inviting you to just sit for a moment and recognizing that you are valuable, that you are worthy of love. And many people in this room love everybody else at a high level and love yourself at a very low level. What I'm talking about is a mirror is just an opportunity to expose where you have not loved yourself at the fullest of what you are meant to be. I know that Dre and Marianne love themselves, and they don't make apology for that. I want to live in your household. I want what you have. But the reality is we're going to get to that place of negativity. That's going to be in week 3, and I hope you will come and make a commitment. We will do shadow work. But cut yourself some slack and reflect with a positive spin. I notice this great good. I see Bill Ernst and Sue Ernst, and you make a difference on this planet. And I love and value the way you show up, the wisdom that you bring to the planet. I notice it. That means it's calling for me to do the same. Oh, The desirable behaviors that we see in others are also a reflection of ourselves. But in order, and I want you to hear this online and in the room, in order to integrate this observable good, it's one thing to notice it. We need a foundation of self-love. Let's read this statement together. In order to integrate this observable good, we need to have a foundation of self-love, or it doesn't make it past the gatekeeper of our self-judgment. This is not a theory for me. This is 50 years of my life. The judgment that I held about myself, less than, greater than as well, both manifestations of ego. It blocked a whole bunch of good getting into it. Oh, I could notice that. Thank you. Thank you, Averill, for being such a light in my life. But my self-judgment, I can't be Averill. I can't be as smart or as articulate as she is. I never will be. Well, maybe I will if I work at it. And I put the work in that Averill put in. But the reality is the self-judgment blocked it. The self-judgment is a manifestation of ego, and it will keep me from growing. It will keep me from stretching. I don't love myself to know that if I spot it in Averill, I've got it too. Yes? Not so easy. And if self-love is not present, the manifestations cannot integrate and will manifest in other ways. So the self-judgment takes the lead in the bus. Self-love takes the back seat. What are the energies that show up when it comes to the shiny, happy people? Envy. Jealousy. I'm judgmental that it's not real. And I start to make comments like, well, Averill isn't that smart. You know, I've seen Dre and Marianne when they weren't happy with each other. And we begin to go, the little neener machine, the monkey mind begins to go crazy in your head, finding another excuse. Self-judgment is keeping the good that is there at bay. Things like self-judgment take the form of, it's not real. I know they have problems. Well, good. Maybe you're willing to study the backstory. They do have problems. I know the stories of everybody I've mentioned in here. Bill and Sue Ernst are sitting there. Their backstory is challenging, and it's challenging to this day, yet they don't let the backstory define them. They remain shiny. They remain a lighthouse. They remain the lovers and the listeners. It cannot be integrated if you're living in those judgmental energies of yourself. You're looking for the chink in the armor. Mostly it's going to manifest as self-judgment. Averill's better than me. Ted's better than me. Mike, we're on the same field. The reality is, those are the words that the ego will speak, and it will come up because you don't love yourself enough to let the good in. And to realize if you spot it, you got it. Say it again. If you spot it, you've got it. Water will seek its own level. Vibration seeks its own level, yes? That's all we are, water and vibration. And we're seeking our own level. So if I'm vibrating at the level of self-love, I will be able to manifest in my life things that validate that love. If I'm operating and vibrating, the water is going to flow to self-judgment if that's what I'm holding. And so this journey about mirrors is all an opportunity to heal what needs to be healed. The thoughts of untruth that you have believed about yourself. Anybody else do that besides me? Who's ever believed an untruth about yourself? I see it, Drea, the backstory. Oh, let me spend some time in your essence so I can read chapter 1 through 6 to see how you got to be that person and how your household changed. If some degree of self-love isn't present, the good will vibrate away from you. Today I'm asking each of us on this month to make a commitment to love and accept some good about yourself that you have spotted in another. Not pridefully, not arrogantly, but as Marianne Williams would tell you, how dare you play small? How dare you self-judge what I have given you as a manifestation of my very essence as Winifred White? How dare you hold any idea or thought that you are not the manifestation of God in form and take every step in that direction? The good that I asked you to reflect upon on that list, close your eyes again. Those qualities. What are those qualities you saw in that lighthouse? If you spot it, you've got it. hold it, breathe it, and be grateful in this moment for yourself. That potentiality, that possibility lives in you. It's waiting for expression. It's standing at the door saying, I'm knocking. For God's sake, open up. And what I want you to do now with your eyes closed is to scream out like you did the first time. No, do it more. To yell out into this environment your name, followed by that quality. On the count of 3, your name and the quality that you admire, respect, and love in another. 1, 2, 3. Let it in. Oh, I can't see that. I can't feel that. That feels inauthentic. It's not about fake it till you make it. It's about just know it and claim it and be it. Speak your name and that quality again. 1, 2, 3. A little closer. Now let every cell of your being proclaim the truth about you. Not just your voice, but your mind, your heart, your spirit, all wide open to receive the magnificence that God has placed into your life, into your soul. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. That is a divine appointment. And let everything you say, everything you do, every relationship you have, every interaction you have, good, bad, and otherwise, be a reflection of what you just claimed as truth. And don't settle. Nobody speaks about my congregation and my congregants in a little way. I won't let you do it about yourself. We used to tell our foster kids that, and it was a great thing. They would say something horrible about themselves, and as parents would say, nobody talks about my kids like that. I'm not going to let you get away with it. And so, Amani, next time I hear you say something about yourself that is an untruth, I'm going to call you out on it. Because nobody talks about my friend. Nobody talks about my congregant that way. Why would I allow you to do it? Okay, do it one more time. Your name and the truth. 1, 2, 3. Good. Let's this week and this month work on integrating that. Anybody ever know those people who can quote the Bible? They know chapter and verse. They can go and tell you where everything is found in that Bible. They know it backwards and forwards, but all they are words. They're not integrated practices. I know those people. We can become like them when it comes to the vibration of the lovers in our life and the listeners in our life, our lighthouses. I can tell you 100 people that are really wonderful, but until I integrate that wonderfulness in my own self and claim it for myself, it's just a bunch of words. Every step must be integrated with the truth of who you are. Yes? They say the only Bible that some people will ever read will be your life. The only Bible some people are ever going to read is going to be your life, and many people are going to show up. Gospels are going to show up in your field. Mirrors, teachers, curriculum's going to show up. Read the gospel of those lives, but don't just memorize scripture and verse. Don't just be grateful that you notice in them. Respect them enough. Honor them enough to say, I want to be like you. No, I will be like you. And I will do whatever it takes from chapter 1 to chapter 15 to be more of you. I want what you're having, Bill Coons. That's really honest. I really want what you're having. Consciousness attracts. Yes? Say that with me. Consciousness attracts. Consciousness magnetizes. Consciousness heals. Consciousness elevates. Holy books that show up as the people around you. The Holy Bible shows up in your field, but their good does not get absorbed into your life because you're running a false narrative. Nobody talks about my kids or my congregation that way. I am not worthy. I am not good enough. I'm not as good as. I can't. Yada, yada, together. Yada. There's a lot of yada yada going on in the spiritual new thought world. I don't want to hear any more yada yada yada. Here's my steps for the week and for the month I want you to take before we go into meditation. The band can come up. Let's go ahead and take a picture of the slide. I want you to integrate these into your life. These are practices I want you doing for the entire month of August. And you can take a picture or you can write them down. Number 1, notice the shiny people. Have the eyes and the ears and the heart to recognize them. You need to be on alert Develop a consciousness that is magnetizing those lighthouses and those lovers. Number 2, then go surround yourself with those people. You become like the people you hang out with. Plain and simple. Go hang out with them. Seek them out and put the effort in to spend time with the shiny people. Bill, what are you doing for lunch this week? Larry, Steria, let's go have a chat because I want a little bit of what you have. And be willing to say it with gratitude in your heart. Number 3, interview them, study them. Study them. Not just chapter 16, but chapter 1 through 15. How did you get? Marianne, how did you get there? How did you get to be that person? Are you willing to vulnerably share your story? Gosh, and what we find out is that her story is my story. Different parts of the world, different ways of being on the planet, yet it's the same story. Let me interview her and then emulate it. Try their clothes on for size. Marianne, I'm not going to try your clothes on. Try their clothes and their shoes on for size and begin to work with the energies of the shiny people and the lighthouses. Number 4, be mindful. Mindfulness is absolutely key to the spiritual path. Mindful of my language. Does my language symbolize lighthouse energy or self-judgment? Self-love or self-judgment. Notice your language, your reactions, and your behaviors and your thoughts, and then the next step, hold yourself accountable. That's it. Hold yourself accountable. And then as a minister, it's part of my job. Nobody talks about my kids, my family, my congregation. Part of my job is to hold you accountable. Stinking thinking isn't going to get you to the dream. I'm a dream builder. I want your dream and I want the reality, so you might want to change that thought. You might want to look at that word because it's not shiny. It's coming from self-judgment and not self-love. And then intentionally speak and react in a different way. React and speak and act and feel as a lighthouse. What does it feel like? I want to hear from you. What does it feel like to be a lighthouse person, a shiny person? What are those qualities? Call out. Confidence. What else? Humor. Authenticity. Just a few moments ago, I asked you to say your name and then a quality that you saw in another that you were claiming for yourself. Call it out one more time because that's the answer to the question. What does it feel like to be a lighthouse? 1, 2, 3. Feel like that. Even when you're tired. Even when you're down, your commitment says, yep, I've got within me. I spotted it. I've got it within me. I'm going to cultivate it and nurture it. A little music would be great. And then love yourself. Love yourself through failures, through mistakes, through forgetting, knowing that the spotted if you got it energy doesn't change just because you screwed up, just because you fell down. You still got it within you. Don't lose sight of the light that is right there saying, I'm standing at the door and knocking, let me out. Yeah, you screwed up, so what? Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. And then I think that it's probably the hardest step is be consistent about that. The only way I can stand here today and do the job that I am supposed to do is because there were a bunch of lighthouses in my past that saw good in me I couldn't see for myself. Ministers who saw it in me, who said, nobody talks about my friend like that. I had to overcome so many obstacles to even be comfortable in my skin to stand here and to say these things and to challenge you. You want to know a dark night of the soul and some shadow work that's been done? I'll tell you those. But I'll fill your heart and your soul with the shiny people who saw something in me that I could not see for myself. That's what we do here. Mike Stott is a lighthouse for me. Willis, you are a lighthouse for me. I miss playing pickleball with you, brother. Everybody else got better than me. But look around and gather the evidence. Surround yourself with these people and tell them, I love you. You've made a difference. One of the lighthouses that put me into this position, Reverend Michael Moran. He got real close to death this last month. He's making his peace and he's saying goodbye. And I realized I'd wasted a whole lot of time not telling him, I stand as a symbol of your love. I stand as a symbol of you being a lighthouse in my life. Why would I waste one more minute? Thank God he had a near-death experience, but he's really close. And we connected on the phone, and we've been texting each other and say, you matter, brother. You matter, and you've made a difference. Be consistent about getting up after the dark night. Be consistent about recognizing those shiny people and tell them. And when you can love yourself enough to do it again and again and again and again, you are shining your light so brightly. You see, that mantra is not an accident for me. You begin to shine your light so brightly that others around you that you'll never meet are going to be saying, I want what he's having. I want what you're having. And somehow the water in the harbor raises all the boats. Be a lighthouse. Be a lover. Be a listener. Be a mirror.